Your best people are not using AI, not because they cannot, because nobody ever told them they were allowed. This is the permission gap. You will see exactly why it forms, what it costs, and how to close it. 93% of trained employees use AI at work. Among untrained employees, only 57% do. That gap comes from a productivity study with the London School of Economics, 36 points purely from training. Most leaders read that number as a skills problem. By training, close the gap, move on. That reading is wrong. Training does more than teach clicks. It hands people something quieter and far more powerful. It hands them permission. Ask your team about AI. If their first question is, are we allowed to do that? You have already lost. When people picture AI at work and see a giant red stop sign, the adoption loop broke before it started. A dollar figure is attached to this. For every 100 employees, over 1 million a year. I will show you where. First, who is actually opting out? It is not the people you would guess. It is your most careful employees. Conscientious people follow rules. When the rule is unclear, they default to no. That is what conscientiousness means. So your careful employees freeze while your risk takers quietly move ahead. Same policy, opposite effects. Exactly backwards. Translation: your guardrails restrain the wrong people. They slow down the productive ones without stopping the reckless ones. That is the worst of both worlds. Your thoughtful people are paralyzed. Your impulsive people are unsupervised. And the paralysis is not irrational. People are reading real signals from you, just not the signals you meant to send. Only 25% of frontline employees get leadership guidance. 36% call training adequate. 18% receive none. Meanwhile, 72% of leaders and managers use AI several times a week. They are not waiting for permission. They are not waiting for permission. Because they already have it. Permission flows down from the people who never have to ask for it. 72% for leaders, 51% for the front line, and that front line number has been falling, not rising. Adoption at the front line stalled. The layer of your company closest to the actual work is the layer moving slowest. That is not a technology gap. Every one of those people has the same tools sitting one browser tab away. 78% of AI users bring their own tools to work. At smaller companies, that number reaches 80%. That is shadow AI, company data moving through personal accounts on personal devices, outside every control you built. And 54% of employees say they would use AI tools even without official authorization from anyone. 52% are reluctant to admit using AI on important tasks. 53% worry it makes them look replaceable. So the tool that is supposed to make people more valuable is the tool they hide to avoid looking expendable. Leaders think the barrier is capability. Employees are telling you the barrier is fear of what using it signals. Translation: this is not a generational adoption problem. We keep calling it one because that story's easier to accept. The productivity data settles it. Generation X employees with training outperform Generation Z employees without training every time. Training beats age. It beats tenure. It beats every demographic story you have been told about who adapts to AI. Microsoft and LinkedIn found 75% of knowledge workers already use AI at work. The demand is not missing. What is missing is guidance. Look at what your company has actually published about AI. It is almost entirely prohibitions. Do not paste customer data. Do not use it for code. Do not. Every one of those rules is reasonable. Together, they say one thing to a careful person. This is dangerous. Stay away. The permission gap is not created by unclear policy. It is created by the complete absence of positive guidance. Silence is not neutral. In an organization, silence about whether something is allowed reliably reads as no. There is a dose response here, and it is unusually clean. More training hours, more regular use. It scales. 79% of employees with 5 or more training hours become regular users. With less training, 67%. 5 hours. That is the threshold where permission becomes real enough that people actually act on it. And the payoff shows up where people actually feel it, not in a dashboard, in their week. Trained employees save 11 hours a week. Untrained employees save 5. Same tools, same jobs, more than double the return. Translation: training is not an expense that teaches software. It is the mechanism that converts a tool into hours. There's a second finding that changes who benefits. It comes out of research from Harvard and Boston Consulting Group. Bottom performers improved 43% with AI. Top performers improved 17%. AI levels the field it touches. Which means the people with the most to gain from AI are precisely the people least likely to feel allowed. The companies pulling ahead figured this out. The ones falling behind are still writing better policies about what not to do. One group is building capability, the other is building compliance. Only one of them shows up in results. Now the number I promised you. The productivity gain per trained employee runs about $18,000 a year. Run that across 100 people and the arithmetic gets uncomfortable. Two workforces, same headcount, same tools, wildly different output. Per 100 employees, a trained workforce captures $1.67 million in annual productivity gains. An untrained workforce of the same size captures $513,000. The difference is over $1 million every year. That money is not lost to a competitor. It is lost to hesitation inside your own building. There is a slower cost too, and it does not appear on any quarterly report. It shows up in 5 years. Junior people are now producing senior-looking output without ever developing senior judgment. The output improved, the learning did not. The grunt work taught the domain. Strip it out and you keep the deliverable while quietly removing the apprenticeship. So ask the uncomfortable question. In 5 years, who maps the frontier when nobody had to learn the territory first? That is the displacement nobody budgets for. Not jobs removed, judgment never built in the first place. That is the $1 million, not a forecast, the measured gap between a trained workforce and an untrained one. So what actually closes it? Not another policy document, not a tool rollout. The answer is organizational, and it is specific. Start with governance that enables. Same rules rewritten to tell people what they can do, not only what they cannot. Notice those are the same restrictions. What changed is that a careful person can now find their own yes inside them. Second, make discoveries travel. In most companies, the good uses die inside individual heads and never reach anyone else. Remember the spread. 93% of trained employees use AI. 57% of untrained employees do. Translation: you do not have an AI adoption problem. You have an organizational enablement problem wearing an AI costume. Third, teach judgment, not clicks. The skill that matters is knowing when to trust the output and when to check it. Here is what to do, whatever your role. 4 moves, none of which require a budget or a new tool. That first one carries most of the weight. One written, approved, specific use case converts silence into a signal. And the last one costs nothing. Ask your team what tools they already use. You will learn more than any audit. McKinsey found the organizations getting real earnings impact from AI did one thing. They redesigned how the work gets done. Not bought a tool, not published a policy, redesigned the work itself, which is slower and much harder to fake. That is the difference between a company that announced AI and a company that actually changed because of it. 36 points of adoption gap, 25% getting guidance, 54% ready to proceed without authorization. Here is the cue to watch for. The next time you open an AI tool at work and pause before typing. That pause is the permission gap running in real time, in your own hands. Notice it, then ask who closes it. Because somebody in your organization can answer that question. Very often, nobody has ever been asked to. The permission gap is a choice. Every day it stays open, value leaves quietly, and risk accumulates in the shadows. Your best people are waiting for one sentence. Someone has to be willing to say it out loud. You are allowed to use this. Say that, mean it, and the 36-point gap starts closing on its own.